Okay, day number 2, impeachment trial of our Vice President Sara Duterte. So on my Facebook earlier, I was reading through the comments while watching the impeachment trial, and a lot of people were asking why was the prosecution focusing more on the grave threats that Sara made towards the president and the first lady instead of focusing on the corruption issue, which what we all know is the main reason, if not the biggest reason, why they want to impeach Sara. So ganito kasi yan, merong apat na articles, or let's say apat na reasons for the impeachment of the vice president. So the first article or the first reason is the confidential funds. That's the one that we all know, right? Allegations of misusing the 612.5 million pesos from the office of the vice president and DepEd. And then Article 2 or reason number 2 is the unexplained wealth, the alleged failure to truthfully disclose assets in her SALN statement of assets and liabilities from 2022 to 2026. Reason number 3, article number 3 is bribery and corruption, alleged procurement irregularities and bribery involving DepEd's officials. And then the number 4, which what we were listening to earlier or what they were tackling earlier in the Senate hearing, which is the grave threats and sedition, alleged violation of the Constitution regarding threats against the top officials. So, ang mangyayari niyan, they're going to be talking about all 4 of it. But today, on day 1, they decided to start with article number 4. Okay, that's why the focus was mainly more on the grave threats that Sara made or said towards the president, the first lady, and Romualdez. Now, as you saw when you were watching the Senate hearing of the vice president's impeachment, the very first opening statement of Representative Defensor was geared towards the people that were giving threats and were arrested by the police, regular people. And then he was saying, if we arrest regular people for giving threats and false scare to the people about bombs and shooting, then why do we not take it seriously against the vice president herself as well, who has the power and the capability to get it done? Naintindihan nyo? So, Defensor was saying, if inaaresto natin yung mga regular na tao na nagbibigay ng mga threats, for example, sa airport, kung saan-saan na nagsasabi na, papatayin ko si ganito o may bomba akong dala, inaaresto natin sila, wala naman sila kakayahan na gawin talaga yung mga threats nila. How much more should we take it seriously against the vice president who has the power and capability to actually hire someone and get someone killed? Now, kung pinapakinggan mo lang yung statement, or not statement, but yung presentation ni Representative Defensor, you would really think na, yeah, I kind of agree to that. Like, why shouldn't we take this seriously? This is the vice president saying things. But let me make this clear to you, and I'm being unbiased here. I'm not for Sara, I'm not for the prosecution. I'm just standing in the middle so we can all understand what's happening and we can all decide for ourselves and we be better Pinoys, okay? If you actually just listen to Representative Defensor, what he's saying is actually true. It can hold weight, right? Like, if we're arresting regular people for giving threats, why shouldn't we do the same for the vice president, knowing that she has the power to do it, right? She has the capability to do it. But really what is happening here is that the prosecution knows that their allegations against the vice president will not stand in court. So what they're trying to do is put out presentations in a very dramatic and theatrical way to win the Filipino public's heart. Naintindihan nyo? alam nila na itong mga alegasyon nila kay Vice President is walang weight when it comes to the court proceeding in the Senate for the impeachment. It will not stand. So they are trying to play the card na if we play with the people's emotions, if we appeal to the Filipino people's emotions, then we can win this this trial by publicity, not in the Senate. Kasi if you can remember, yesterday, Attorney Season basically made it clear to the senators that, hey, the Vice President had the most number of votes in the history of the Philippines. And if you, Senator judges, make the wrong call about this, the Filipino people will not forget. We will never forget. And your political career is definitely gonna be over. Remember that? Kahapon. So now, the prosecution, knowing that that's the case, na yung allegations nila against the Vice President is not that strong, they are now trying to win your heart, my heart, the Filipino public's heart, and making us all believe that they are for us. And, we should take this seriously because the threats that Sara was making wasn't right and it's inhumane. They're trying to win our hearts so that they can win this they can win this impeachment trial by publicity. Okay, this is called trial by publicity. So, ang mangyayari niyan, kahit pa the Senate declares or decides na, okay, this is not good enough, Sara will not be impeached and she will be able to run for presidency in the 2028. But if we, the public, believed their theatrics in their opening statements kahapon ni Luistro Laway and today by Representative Defensor, if we believe that, even if the Senate says Sara cannot be impeached and she can run for presidency, now the people will have an uproar against the Senate, an uproar against the government and say, take Sara out. Does that make sense? So now, they're trying to make it to a point where whatever the Senate decides, it doesn't matter anymore because they have won our hearts. This is where us as the Filipino people needs to be careful when we're listening and watching the prosecution deliver their statements. Because the way, pansinin nyo, the way na binibigay nila yung mga statements nila, the way that they're delivering their opening statements is really trying hard to appeal to your heart, appeal to the Filipino public. They use words and emotions that will make you feel like, yeah, I guess you're right. Diba? But we have, in court proceedings like this, especially in something this high in the Senate or in the government position, in court proceedings like this, we have to stick to the facts. Now, I'm not saying that if you do believe Representative Defensor and Congresswoman Luistro in their opening statement that you're completely wrong. No, I'm not saying that. You are definitely entitled to believe what you want to believe. You're definitely entitled to stand on what you think is right. But what I'm saying is this is the kind of game that they're trying to do. They're trying to win the case by publicity, by the people's heart, not in the Senate anymore. In my opinion, this impeachment trial is already done. What they're trying to do now is just to show the people that, yes, we're still doing, quote unquote, the job of impeaching Sara. We're still going through the hearing. But when it comes to the voting, it's already lopsided because the prosecution has already arrested Marcoleta and Estrada. So now there's 13 to 16. You need to have enough votes to get Sara to run for presidency in 2028. What the prosecution did is arrested Marcoleta and Estrada. That way, the minority does not have enough voting power or people to vote for Sara to be acquitted of all of these allegations. So now it's up for us people to decide if we are going to agree with whatever comes out of this impeachment trial or not. Next, I want to talk about what they actually talked about today. Article 4 which is the grave threats and sedition. They were pointing out that in a couple of instances, Sara Duterte made the threats against Bongbong Marcos, the First Lady, and Romualdez. I get that, and it is wrong. I agree. Sara should have not made those threats. I agree. However, get this, the prosecution is trying to make you focus or zoom you in to what Sara said only. But if you think broader and wider, back it up a bit. Why did Sara say those things? And before we actually look at it, let me remind you that Sara is also a high caliber lawyer. Okay? She knows that she shouldn't say things that will incriminate her in the future. Keep that in mind. So, the prosecution is trying to get you to zoom in to what Sara said, which is kill Marcos, Bongbong Marcos, kill the First Lady and Romualdez. That's what the prosecution is trying to get the public to zoom in. But listen to me. If you're watching this video, listen to me. Zoom back out. Back it up a few steps. Think about this. Why would Sara say that? Why? The only reason that a high caliber attorney, very educated woman, vice president of the Philippines, who knew not to say anything that will incriminate her, the only reason that she will say something like that out in public with records and videos is because she has been receiving threats for her life. Now, if you ask, now where would she be getting those threats from? Think about it. Who is up against her so bad? The Marcoses. Simple. Find out why a high caliber lawyer like Sara and a vice president of the country like Sara would say something so incriminating. There's a reason behind it. What Sara basically did when giving that statement of, I asked somebody to kill them if something happened to me, was basically just a statement of what she planned already to do if somebody did from the opposition try to kill her. It falls under the self-defense reasoning. Does that make sense? Naintindihan ba? It's still a sign of self-defense. Kasi, ba't naman niya sasabihin na papatay si Marcos, papatay si First Lady if she doesn't have a reason? Lawyer siya. Alam niya na di siya pwedeng magsabi ng mga bagay na ganun that will incriminate her unless she has a reason to. Right? Actually, in one of the videos, she said, I asked somebody to kill Bongbong Marcos and the First Lady and Romualdez in the context. That's the key word. In the context of something happening to me. And then she followed it with, get that, something happening to me. I did not mean dying of a heart attack. What I mean is somebody did something to me. Okay? So we can turn this around to the prosecution and say, why was your client threatening the vice president? See? The prosecution lawyers are so bad, terrible at doing the questioning because there's so many loopholes in the questioning. At one point, the prosecution lawyer kept asking the witness, whose signature is this? Oh, it's so-and-so. How do you know it's so-and-so signature? And the witness says, I saw him sign it. Hello! In a court hearing, you cannot prove eye contact. You cannot prove somebody saying, I saw it. Unless it's a written document, a video, a hard evidence, you cannot use the reasoning, I saw it. It will not be proven in court. So, this is getting long, but I hope na naintindihan nyo ang ibig ko sabihin. The prosecution is trying to win your heart with their opening statements, and I'm not saying you're wrong if you believe it. I'm just saying be critical. Think, why are they trying to win your heart over? Second, Sara Duterte is a high caliber lawyer. She knows not to say things that will incriminate her in the future unless if she has a reason. Okay? And she knows what she's doing. And let me just remind you, before Sara Duterte gave that statement that she wants Bongbong Marcos and the First Lady and Romualdez killed if something happened to her, she had a cut on her throat that she wouldn't say anything about. She said, at the right time, I will say it, but not now. Right? This tells us that there's always been an ongoing threat against Sarah's life, which led her to say that if something happened to me, I asked someone to kill them. Right? It's a form of self-defense. It wasn't just because she wanted them dead. It's because she's been getting these threats and she fears for her life. Simple. You got to think, you got to be critical, not just believe what they're trying to show you. Okay? Don't let them prime your brain into believing a certain way, because it could mean the doom of this country. Thank you. Share this video if you find it insightful, if it helped you understand it. Share this video. Tomorrow we're going to talk again. We can do this. Kaya nato ni. Let's be better Pinoys. Ciao.